It was Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist, New South Wales, Australia. We're talking on the subject of, although they claimed to be wise, they became fools. And this is happening all around us today in every aspect and respect. People are thinking they are wise, and they're claiming to be wise, but it's clear for all to see that they're fools. Now, how could somebody make such a startling statement as that, such an arrogant, horrible, despicable statement like that? Well, look at the fruit. How are you being treated? How are you treating others? That's the fruit. How are you treating yourself, I guess, too, for those that hide behind closed doors and abuse themselves. Drugs, alcohol, etc. Backbiting, gossiping, smear campaigning and all that stuff. Pulling themselves down and people apart. Thinking they were wise, claiming to be wise, they became fools. How do you come to the realization that you're a fool? Jesus said the foolish person builds their house on sand. That's a lack of integrity, a lack of self-respect, disdain of self, shame of self, self-abasement, laziness, slothfulness, backbiting, bickering, self-grandizement, being grandized. We learnt the other day that when you release your ego, you lose integrity. I thought that was a brilliant scripture and a brilliant revelation. Where there's ego, there's a lack of integrity, or the integrity diminishes. The longer the ego stays around, the more the integrity diminishes. And you can ruin integrity via alcohol. You'll see people that consume alcohol, their moral and integrity levels drop. Same with drugs and medications as well. But the consequences of these actions, the consequences of foolishness, when the floods come, Matthew 7:24, and the winds blow, and the rain falls, the troubles of life, the things that we need to get done before we are confronted with ourselves. That's the big one, isn't it? When we're confronted with ourselves. When we put ourselves in a position where we either lose by way of the negligence of the other person or by way of ourselves, we lose our relationship. And that's hard if you're really trying to be your best. I'm not talking about turning up stoned or pissed or turning up as a person in their fallen nature. Those types really, from what I've learnt, need to stay with their type. Because while you're pushing on and trying to develop, while you're trying to make someone wise and they want to be a fool, you're wasting your time. You see, wisdom's something you've got to have a value for. Wisdom's not sarcasm. Wisdom's not arrogance. Wisdom isn't what you've done in the past. Wisdom isn't the mistakes you're making now. Wisdom isn't the words that you're not speaking because you're on alcohol, or the words that you are speaking that you shouldn't because you're pissed. Words that you don't speak because you're stoned, or words that you do speak because you're stoned. The feelings that you feel that are different. when you're on all these substances and things and you're just totally uncalibrated, and you front up and you wonder why the other person's sort of thinking, oh God, now what? See, silence, let's get this straight. Silence has a place, absolutely has a place, and should be applied in that place. But silence just for the sake of silence, in terms of artillery and weaponry, by way of omission, by way of laziness, by way of losing your cognitive ability to speak through alcohol and drugs, uttering things that aren't intelligible, that kind of silence that takes you away by way of consumption of substances, that kind of silence where you say it's peaceful. Oh, it all looks peaceful on the surface, but it's negligence. And the way things are going, it's not going to matter because it's becoming the common now. People are accepting negligence. People are accepting being abused as a normal way of behaviour. You stand out today if you've got any sense of morality or any sense of non-conformity to the masses now, who are abusing each other and neglecting themselves. See, somebody that neglects themselves won't have any trouble with abusing somebody else or being abused. It's just how it works. So there's no point, if you're really putting the effort into being wise, wasting your time with someone that's evidently a fool. You see, it doesn't come down to wealth, stature, what you have or what you don't have. It actually comes down to who you are and how you perform on a daily basis with the responsibilities you have and the relationship that you have. And these responsibilities and accountabilities and the ways in which the monotheistic God wanted relationships to work is being forgotten. And people are being abused and they're starting to lose their minds. If you don't believe me, why can't you get into a mental health counsellor or anything like that for 10 to 12 weeks here in New South Wales, Australia? It's a 10 to 12 week wait minimum. And the government's given out 10 to 20 appointment bundles to people who are struggling with their mental health. A lot of these people are on drugs. A lot of these people are in families that are completely and utterly dysfunctional, even though they look all right on the surface. A lot of these people are the consequence of being unable to navigate a relationship fairly and squarely in a way in which people actually want to stay in them. And a lot of these people, as usual, are alcoholics or ex-drug addicts and you name it. There's no excuse now for these people. It's a choice. What you do to yourself now in 2023 is a personal choice. All the information's there. All the reasons why certain things happen and certain things don't happen in relationships is there. If you turn around and go, well, I'm ignorant of that, well, you've chosen to be lazy. And that's your problem. If you go out on a dating site and you get raped, which is happening a lot now, you get robbed, which is happening a lot now, you get used, which is happening a lot now, you put 2 or 3 years of your life into somebody that's just really not trying to build anything. They're just trying to condition you to their dysfunction. That's happening all the time. People are losing big blocks of their life with these sinister, dysfunctional people that really don't want to contribute to a relationship psychologically the way that they should. You've got these people that are trying to juggle their immorality with their drugs, with their relationships, and people are looking at it and going, hang on a sec, this is not healthy for anybody. Then you've got these triangulated situations where you're in a relationship with somebody and the next thing the kids are interfering, the family members are interfering, and because of that they blame you and then go and meet somebody else. Unresolved always turns the person causing the unresolved against the person that needs it. Come on, wake up a bit, please. Thinking they were wise, claiming to be wise, they were downright utter stupid fools. And a lot of you people are mixing with these fools. They're destroying themselves. Now, if somebody's destroying themselves, do you think they're going to have any trouble trying to destroy you? These people know they're on the back foot. Life slipped by them. All the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars that have passed through their fingers, slipped through their fingers, they've wasted on their habits. They've made wrong decisions all their lives. What makes you think that's going to change? What makes you think that's going to be different just because you come along? Claiming to be wise, they became utter fools. Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. They became fools while claiming to be wise, and you need to open your eyes. Now, what's a fool? Jesus said, if you're founded on the sand, if your integrity and morality and the value for things that matter in life aren't right, you're a fool. But if you're making the effort and your values for yourself, for your loved ones, and all in order, by the way, it's no good having a relationship and your children are on the top of the food chain. No, come on, it's no good. Everything has an order. It's the adults first, who then, by way of order, navigate the children, who learn to navigate themselves, who now learn to navigate their children, who learn to navigate themselves. But that's not the case now in most instances. And claiming to be wise parents, they were fools. People don't want to hear this. You can judge a tree by its fruit. Look at the children. You'll see what the adult, you'll see it. And you ain't changing nothing. You ain't. They don't discipline. They're scared of their children. The children are walking all over them, running riot, siphoning their money. They're supplying them alcohol, drugs, and all the rest of it. They're allowing all sorts of immorality and stuff to go on, which is their business. But what's the fruit of it all? I know, I've seen all this 1,000 times over. What's the fruit of it all? Do you want to know? They always seem to end up alone, sitting in a huddle together wondering what happened to us? What happened to the person I was with? What happened to the person you were with? It's in your face, isn't it? But thinking they were wise, they became utter fools. And all these people claim to be wise on the dating scene now. I'm really sorry, but the majority, the masses, are a pack of fools. When it all boils down to it, they're selfish, self-destructive, self-centered fools. And guess where they end up? With themselves, and maybe some pets and some dysfunctional children, if they're lucky, and a whole lot of debt. Because thinking they were wise, they became fools, utter fools. An utter fool is somebody in later life that just never realised, never bothered to open their eyes enough, their mind enough to go, uh-oh, I'm getting left behind here. That's an utter fool. They're running out of time. It's too late. A fool's still got a chance. It's highly unlikely that anything good will go for that person, but they've still got a chance. An utter fool, it's over. Their mind starts to go. Their body starts to fail. They become cognitive dissonant. They've got no conscience or connection with moral. And they're just sitting in that place where the fool says there is no God, the Bible says. The fool says there is no God. And even though they didn't act like it, even the people on Pitcairn Island looked that place up. They knew there was a God. They never acted like it. But they knew there was a God. They weren't foolish enough to say there is no God. Look up Pitcairn Island if you want to open your eyes and see what depravity and all that is. It's one of the most isolated places on earth. The mutiny on the Bounty and all that. They knew that there was a God. They didn't act like it. It's one of the most immoral, depraved accounts of human behaviour that you could ever find. And these things, not unsimilar to what happened on Pitcairn Island, are happening right in front of us in our communities. But we're becoming used to it, desensitised to it. And there's a side of us in our sinful nature, the foolish side of us, that wants to build everything on sand and let it be washed away. That foolish, sinful nature that none of us want to hear about, that we cover our ears and close our eyes to, is causing people to become absolute, utter fools. Are you a fool? You can choose. Or are you wise? Because although they claim to be wise, Romans chapter 1:22, they became fools. Claiming to be wise, they instead became utter fools. Are you wise or are you a fool? Only you can choose. This is Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison. Bye for now.